For I don't know how long. I'm white as anything at the moment. It's a joke.
Hello and welcome to From Dial Square to Where, an extra special episode. We've got a special guest with us today, and Graham as well. So, anyway, Graham Rix, very nice to have you on board. Thank you ever so much for agreeing to come on.
You're welcome, Andrew. Hi, guys. How are we doing?
Yeah,
good,
with us, got Lee Judges. You all right, Lee?
How you doing? Yeah, I'm all good. I'm all good. Can't complain.
Fantastic, despite the form that Arsenal are in currently. But we're not talking about that tonight. We're talking about the great man here. And Melvin, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. I love these weekends.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Every now and then, I can't hear you, buddy.
Really? Can you stick your earbuds in?
You can't hear that, I think.
Can you talk to him, Melvin? Ask to see if he can hear you.
Can you hear me, Graham? Graham, can you hear me?
I can, mate. Yeah.
Right. Have you got earbuds putting on, anything like that? Earphones or something?
See,
if he can hear us, then it's down to you, Andrew.
I know. Well, I can't understand why he can't hear me, but he can hear you too. Anyway,
I've had 3 months to sort this out, and he ain't got any.
3 months.
I haven't.
Okay. Well, can you?
We get through.
Yeah, we'll have to just carry on.
Sorry, guys.
Can you hear me anyway? Great. Well, you're gonna have to do all the talking, and Melvin and Lee. Anyway, listen, guys. If you've got a problem hearing, if Graham's got obviously a problem hearing me, I don't understand what the situation is. But we've obviously got a good amount of time with Graham. I mean, there's so many things that we want to talk about, and I'll go to you firstly. Yeah. See if Graham can hear you.
You can't. I think Graham can hear me yet.
I mean, what you said about a few questions you'd love to be able to ask Graham. About the semi-final. There's so many things, Lee. If you talk to Graham at this stage, and what I might do, drop out and come back in to see if it solves my problem.
Okay, no worries. Graham, can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll just take over why Andrew tries and sorts itself out. Like for me, growing up, can't hear me now. Like
it's a joke.
Oh God.
Can you hear me, Graham?
Speak to me.
Graham, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can, mate. Clear as a bell. Yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, that's good. Like growing up as a kid, the FA Cup finals of 78, 79, and 80, obviously, like ring true to a lot of Arsenal, the old school Arsenal fans. Like, of course, obviously, you wasn't involved. Well, you was, but you was left out of the 78 one, and the disappointment of that to come back into the 79 one. What was it like being left out of that first one and then to come back into the second one and do what you did? Because you starred in the second one, of course.
Ultimately, I'm glad you brought that up because I see the things that happen today. And if a lad gets pulled off as for a substitute, he walks off the pitch, he's all sulking and, he's giving it, what's up? I played 38 out of 42 league games that year in 78, and I scored in the semi-final against Orient.
That's right, yeah,
and then
correct.
2 days before the final, Terry Neal and Don Howe called me in the office, and don't forget, I think I was just 20. I was just 20. He called me in the office and he said, "We're not playing yet. We're playing Alan Sunderland and Malcolm McDonald and Alan Hudson." Because there was like 4 of us going for 3 spots. Mate, I cried in front of him. And I came out of the office and I had to walk through the treatment room. And Liam was having treatment on his ankle at the time. And he looked at me and I just shook my head. And he could tell I was crying. And I cried all the way home. And I cried all that night. Because... as a young lad of 19, 20, all you ever dream about is getting into a first team, but then playing in a cup final. how many chances do you get to play in a cup final? I didn't know I was going to play in another couple.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It devastated me, and I was so disappointed. But in a perverse sort of way, it was quite good for me, because when I was there, I was under no pressure on the day because I was sub. So it wasn't like, oh, you know, I've got to do this, I've got to do. I was quite cool about it, and I took in the atmosphere, and I really enjoyed it, because I thought, well, I'm going to be sitting on the bench. Okay, I got on for 20 odd minutes or whatever it was. And this always sticks in my mind. We had a meeting on the Monday because we were all devastated. We were rubbish on the day, rubbish against Ipswich. And Alan Hudson, bless him, he'd obviously had a party from Saturday night through to Monday morning, I think, if I'm honest with you. And he played hell. He said that boy should have been playing. It's a joke. You picked the wrong team. He should have been playing. And you know, that gave me a huge boost as a young lad. But in a perverse sort of way, it helped me, you know, because the following year I was ready, and nothing was too big for me. I was ready to accept the occasion. So
yeah,
but
that's a great story. Yeah, like, you know, because I remember that the press was saying at the time that it was very harsh for you to be left out and everything, and like my dad was used to go to the games and say, I can't believe like Rixie's been left out of this team, and everybody was like a little bit miffed by it, weren't they, at the time?
Yeah.
When you scored that goal in the semi-final
Andrew.
against the Orient, Graham, I think you're the only person to actually have a shot on target, because 2 of Malcolm's goals weren't even going in. Do you remember? Malcolm McDonald hit 2 shots. They were going on the corner flag, and they got deflected, both of them.
Yeah, it did.
That,
Yeah, I think, if I remember correctly, it was a long time ago, obviously, but I think I ran from about the halfway line and beat a couple of lads.
You did a 1-2 as well, I think, Graham, if I remember correctly. 1-2, I think you might have played before you actually stuck it away. I think so, yeah.
Okay.
So Stamford Bridge, wasn't it? Yeah, it's good. Great days.
Yes,
great old days, those.
Well, they were great for a young kid to be involved in that. You know, in his first season was sensational for me. Sensational.
What was it like playing in that team?
I can't always hear you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
So what was it like playing in that team? Yeah, with that team, with like the Liam Brady's, Frank Stapletons.
I think the fact that most of us had come through the ranks together to a certain extent. Stapleton, you know, what a great player. For me, he was a great player playing with Frank. Obviously Liam, but then on the periphery of that, there was lads like Dave Price, Richie Powlin had come through the ranks. Wilf Rostrom was there or thereabouts. Trevor Ross was there or thereabouts. So Johnny Matthews, we had that core of lads who'd come through the ranks together, and we weren't the finished article, but we had enough about us to do well in the cup. For example, we weren't quite ready to win the league and all that business. We needed a few more players. I think everybody would agree with that, but we had a real togetherness, you know, and unlike today's players, present day players, when we finished a game on a Saturday, we went out together. You know, we would go down a pub either in Islington or in Southgate or wherever it was, and there'd be 8 or 9 of us. And then the wives would come out to meet us, and then we went out as a group. I'm not sure that happens anymore. We had a fantastic team spirit amongst us. We really did. And really, I think the club missed a trick, because they did have some good young players at that time. Dave O'Leary, obviously, Frank Stapleton, Liam Brady, myself, John Devine. We had a really good nucleus. And they should have added to that. They should have added to it to make us be able to compete with Liverpool, who were the kings at the time. And instead, They'd let Liam Brady leave. They'd let Frank Stapleton leave. And as a player in that era, that was such a kick in the teeth. And I'm not being disrespectful to the boys that they brought in, but they were never going to be as good as Frank Stapleton and Liam Brady. They weren't. They were world-class players.
It was a kick in the teeth.
That was really tough.
It was a kick in the teeth for you, Graham. It was a kick in the teeth for us fans as well. Like, you know, just having that success that we had. And that was a poignant thing. Did you feel let down by that? Because obviously you had to take over the mantle for that. A lot of pressure coming on to you because of that. Especially when Liam left, it was like sort of went on to your...
Yeah. People have asked me that. And my answer to that was, I didn't really feel under any pressure taking over from Liam, but the difference was, and I'm not being big-headed when I say this, guys, but Liam had me to play with. He had Frank Stapleton to play with. So the more players you've got around you who know what they're doing, the easier it is. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
I mean, when I think that Liam left to go to Juventus, and he did great, don't get me wrong, but wow, you know, we could have developed over the years into God knows what, really. Seriously.
Yeah, 100%.
Really.
But within that team, Graham, within that team, you had a lot of partnerships. There was you and Liam's partnership. There was Stapleton and Sunderland we had. We had Pat Rice and Nelson. They were terrific fullbacks. And the centre halves, I never thought I'd say it. When he first signed for us, Willie Young, no Arsenal supporter wanted him for two reasons. Number one, he was Spurs. And number two, we didn't think he was very good, to be honest with you. But he was such a good player for us. Him and David O'Leary was two opposites as centre halves go, but they worked so well together, didn't they?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, in those days, obviously, it was 4-4-2, and that's what it was all about. Your little partnerships all around the pitch. And Willie would head anything, whereas Dave O'Leary was as quick as you like. He was the quickest at the club, Dave. I'm telling you. He was so speedy, and he'd read the situation. Myself and Liam always used to give Sammy Nelson. I mean, that goes without saying, doesn't it? You know what I mean? We always told him he couldn't play. You're rubbish, Sam. You're rubbish. Just tackle and give it to us. We hammered him, mate. but I think Alan Sunderland was a really underrated footballer. You know, he was quick, he was clever, he was intelligent in his movement. He was a good player, Sunday, and him and Stapleton were a very good part.
Was that an awkward situation with Malcolm McDonald? Because obviously Malcolm McDonald was probably in front of Frank at the time, and then I remember Frank was sort of like wearing a number 10 sometimes, then a number 9 coming in. Then obviously Malcolm got injured, and that really led the way for Frank then, didn't it? And it was no turning back then, was there, between them two?
Yeah, I mean, Frank, to be fair to him, I think he might be a year older than me, Frank. And when I played with him in the youth team and the reserves, he wasn't the best footballer by any means, but oh my God, he could run, he'd chase everything. He was great in the air. He was a great target. And I always use Frank, even now when I speak to younger players, if they can remember Frank Stapleton, that is, but I always use him as an example. He got in the first team at 19, I think it was, and he realised he needed to be better. So even though he was in the first team and playing in front of 40,000 every week, he knew that wasn't enough for him. And he was back 3 times a week in the afternoon with a ball in the old gym at Highbury, kicking it against the wall, making his technique better, not being satisfied with just being in the first team. And I think that speaks volumes about Frank Stapleton. You know what I mean? What sort of character he was, what drove him. And I mean, you know, I used to do things eventually that I thought, oh my God, Frank, there's no way you could have done that at 18, 19, mate. So I've got nothing but respect for Frank. And Malcolm was obviously very unfortunate to get injured. To swear on this program, Andrew?
Yeah, of course.
Because I've got a little story about Super Mac. You can hear?
Yeah, swear away.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
So when I was a young kid, I was about 17, and we were at London Coney, and all the lads used to eat together. So as an apprentice, as a YGS boy, you could find yourself next to Alan Ball or Frank McClintock or John Radford or anybody, Geordie Armstrong. They just treated you like anybody else. Well, we just signed Malcolm McDonald for 333,333 pence, yeah? And
recurring.
I was injured. So I went in for my dinner in the hall, and John Radford was there. John Radford walked in, and John Radford lived 3 miles from where I come from, up in Yorkshire. So he knew exactly where I lived and the village and all that. And all the time, he'd always say to me, "Where is he come from, Rico?" Yeah. And so I sat next to him, and I thought, what an opportunity. What an opportunity to glean John Radford's mind. So I went, "Hello, John." And he went, "All right, Rico." And then he went, I said, "Been doing this morning?" He said, "We've been practicing free kicks." I went, "Oh, really? How does it go?" I thought, what an opportunity this is to get something from a top-class player. So I said, "How does it go, John?" He said, "Well, we get a free kick about 20 yards out, and I get ball, and they make a wall, and I put ball down, and I have a look, and then Malcolm says, 'Fuck off, Raddy, I'm taking it.'"
There's guys, I don't know if Graham, can you hear me now or not?
Oh, there's too big a delay here. There's too big a delay.
No, guys, can you in the
so
chat there? There's a question from Richard. Can you ask that?
And I think the club should have done more, definitely, in the late 70s to make us a real force. A real force.
Graham, someone's just asked a question on the chat.
Am I allowed to swear like that?
Yeah, of course you are. Yeah, no problem. Sorry, no. Someone on the chat just asked, can you ask Graham about Alan Sunderland? I heard he was a prickly character. Is that true or not?
A prickly character?
Yeah.
Nah, it was a great. It really was, and obviously, we signed him from Wolverhampton, and he drove down to the training ground out at London Coney for his first day there, and he said, me and Liam were chatting to him afterwards over lunch, and we said, "Where are you staying out?" And he said, "Oh, West Lodge Park in Cockfosters." So we said, "Oh, yeah, we'll show you the way," because he didn't know the way. So he followed us in his car, and as we were getting near Cockfosters, we told him to go left down this road. It was just a country lane to nowhere. Oh, dear. So he went along that lane for about 1.5 miles. So it was a bit prickly the next day. Yeah, he wasn't. He was a great player. I still touch base with Sunday. I'm in regular, messaging and making sure he's okay, because he went to Malta. God, it must be about 30 years ago. So, he's a great lad, Sunday. Great lad.
No, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. So,
guys, I've just dropped in the private chat as well. I'm sorry I'm having to do this. I don't understand why Graham can't hear me, but it's a bit annoying for me. But there you go. There's a question in the private chat as well.
Another question coming up, I think.
Mention that.
Is that right, Melvin?
Right, considering your England career, etc., where does Brady rank among the best midfielders you've played with? How good was Liam, in other words?
You know, something is a special player about that. I only played with him about 3 years, which was a bit of a worry, really, you know, to what we could have achieved. And it's quite interesting because I showed my wife the other day. He sent me a WhatsApp message, and the photograph on his WhatsApp is him playing for Juventus against me playing for Arsenal. We had a pre-season game, and it's me and him, me in my Arsenal kit and him in his Juventus kit on his WhatsApp. That means a lot to me. That he was a great player. He couldn't head it. He couldn't tackle. He couldn't kick it with his right foot. But oh my God, everything else he could do really well. He was unbelievable. And a match winner, you know, can you imagine in today's game how he'd be in today's game?
Oh.
Not allowed to kick in, great pitches, you know, mate. Superstar.
How we could do with him now.
Superstar.
I don't think there's an Arsenal
Having
side.
said that, I played with some good players in the England setup. You know, I'm not saying they were Brady, they were different.
Who else was?
Players,
who else would compare?
You know, I think we'd all agree that Brian Robson was certainly a very effective midfield player for Manchester United and England. Ray Wilkins, bless him, was a super footballer. You know, and Glenn Hoddle. I know you probably don't want to hear that, but you know, he could play the lad. There's no doubt about it.
It was the rumours that you was good friends with Glenn Hoddle. Is that correct?
Melvin, just because I said Glenn Hoddle.
he worked with him. Worked with Glenn Hoddle.
You were friends with Glenn Hoddle.
Massive.
Yeah, I was surprised. I went into a pub and you were with some Arsenal game. I don't know why I got invited. And you were I couldn't believe you were with Hoddle because it was a rivalry then, wasn't it? All the Arsenal fans going, Rixie is better than Hoddle. And I didn't realise, a lot of my friends didn't realise how close, you know, you were actually having a drink. And I thought, God, that's a bit strange. You know, you think you get in your mind about rivalries, but they don't really exist. It's respect, isn't it, as well?
You know something, Melvin? We didn't know each other because obviously he's a London lad and I'm a Northern boy. And when we were both 17, we went to the England under-18 get-together and didn't know him. But after training had finished, I stayed out to do just a little bit extra with the ball and practice whatever I was in at the time. And so did Glenn. We were the only two who stayed out. So we were pinging balls and cutting them and bending them this way, that way, and just getting better at what. And from day, we hit it off. We were massive buddies. And although there was this rivalry between Arsenal and Tottenham, quite often, I shouldn't say this, but quite often, we'd be out on a Thursday night having a beer together. And on the Saturday, we'd be lining up against each other. And there'd be 60,000 at Highbury. And they'd be going, Arsenal, Tottenham, Arsenal, Tottenham. And Rice would be coming round saying, come on. And I'd look at him, and he was opposite me. And we just like, shrugged shoulders.
It's a shame about the connection.
Melvin, that suited you there. Yeah. So, yeah, we're massive buddies, still are.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
Can you ask that? There's a question from Miss Molina in the chat as well, saying, what's Graham's favourite all-time memory at Arsenal? If you could ask that.
Debut when he scored. Does that help you along, Graham?
He can't hear me. Can you ask that question?
Right.
Sorry?
Yeah. What is your all-time favourite memory at Arsenal, Graham?
Oh my God.
God.
Do you know how difficult that is to answer? There's so many things that happened to me in my time there. Seriously, that is, I really can't pinpoint only about the football and the matches and the cups and doing this and doing that. It's about the relationships you build up over. You know, I was going there when I was like 13, so I knew all the electricians at Highbury, all the plumbers, the laundry lady. I knew everybody at Highbury. And I always had an integral part of the football club. So to pick one moment, really, I think football-wise, I think it was probably, I'd probably have to say winning the FA Cup in second, but not football-wise. I think I was really touched that when I left Arsenal, when I was 30, the stewards on the big green gates, Highbury, that was in the car park, leading into the car park, they gave me a beautiful brass cannon on a wooden plate, and it said to Rixie from Fed and Boys on the gate. And that got me. Do you know what I mean?
Quality.
They didn't have to do that.
No.
I didn't see him every day, but for them to acknowledge that every time I drove in, "Hey Fred, guys, how you doing?" For them to acknowledge that touched me big time. Big time.
Can you ask
Graham
as well?
I'm a softie.
Someone said in the chat, which is a good thing, right? I think this is one of my favourite goals that you ever scored, was against Leeds. Obviously, do you remember that the Leeds scored in the 92nd minute, I think, and then you got a free kick in the last. That was sensational free kick. That was a game that must live in the memory, being from Yorkshire as well, doing that against Leeds as well. Like I remember that when they scored.
I'm going to ask you now. Okay.
Go on.
I'm going to ask you now. If I had gone the netting, what would you have shouted at me?
I don't know. Like, I mean, it was like, well, I thought to be honest, I thought we was out. You know what I mean? We was a goal down with seconds to go, and I remember the pitch weren't the greatest, was it? And like, what's he doing? Going to hit it from 35 yards here? But when it went in, it was unbelievable free kick. Unbelievable free kick. I think it was a midweek game, so it weren't on telly and things like that. And a lot of people missed that, Graham, but it was a sensational goal.
I can't believe John Lukic was in.
Yeah.
John Lukic was in goal for Leeds.
Yeah, that's right. He was.
Kenny Sansom was stood next to me, and he went, "What do you think?" I went, "Ken, have a look where the keeper is." And he went, "He's out of his goals." I went, "Yeah." So all the big guys, O'Leary and Young and whoever it was, and I waved them further away, as if say to the keeper, "I'm really hitting it over there." He, bless him, hit a few more yards, right? So I just pretended and I just give him the eyes a little bit, and it went in. And I can't believe we signed him the following year.
I've got to ask this question. This is a question from me. Obviously, like we had a little bit of the doldrums from obviously Liam Brady. That's a brilliant one. That is Liam Brady leaving, and then obviously Frank Stapleton. What was it like when Charlie Nicholas signed? Because I think that was a big thing for Arsenal. He was like everybody was sort of wanting him and everything like that, and Arsenal got him, and it was a big coup for the club to get somebody like that stature. What was it like when he came to the club?
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, everybody thought he was going to go to Liverpool. They thought it was
That's
nailed
right.
on that he was going to go to Liverpool.
Or United.
And obviously, or United. But I mean, anyone who scores 48 goals in a season at whatever level, that takes some doing. So he obviously had something, the kid. When he came down, I mean, he could obviously play. He had this charisma about him. I think I was captain at the time, and he came in and he was larger than life. And, you know, it was a great lad, but we could tell he was a little bit Jack the Lad, needed pulling down a peg or two. So for the first 2 or 3 weeks that he was at the club, every day we'd open up the Daily Star or whatever, and it'd be pace, and it'd be Charlie with a cowboy hat on and a pair of 6 guns and a couple of birds next to him. And all the lads going, "Oh, Rick Al's about, you know." They've already been like, you know, got a safari hat on or something, you know, with a couple of birds. So I pulled him. I had to pull him. I was a skipper. I just went, "Charlie, stop all that rubbish. Stop all that rubbish. You've got to play your football. You've got to show people what you can do. You've got to show the lads what you can do. And then when you've done that, then you can go and do what you want." And he went, "Fair comment. No more photographs in the newspaper." Great lad, Charlie. Great lad. And really, I wish he'd played, with all due respect to the boys, but I wish he'd played in a better Arsenal team, because I think he was sensational.
Definitely,
I really do.
Definitely.
His close control was superb. And what made him a favourite, apart from anything else, was he always scored against Spurs, got some classics against Spurs, and in the League Cup final. You know, they'll always be remembered for that, apart from anything else. He lifted the club when he first came, definitely.
Yeah, he did.
Because that was a good time for us. I think when Paul Mariner come, because you had Paul Mariner.
I did. I mean, that was
Tony Woodcock. 84, 85. Yeah, it was a good team. That was. It was a really entertaining team to watch. That was.
I used to like Tony Woodcock. He was good.
Tony Woodcock, Paul Mariner, and yourself. That was a real quartet of quality. That was.
Was Steve Williams in that team, Lee? Or was he a bit later?
I think he came just a little bit later, but
right.
Stuart Robson was
well.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, I think Stuart Robson, who was a brilliant midfield player until he got injuries, but it was a real good midfield.
Johnson,
Paul Davis. Yeah. Paul Davis was around then as well.
Paul Davis was coming through as well. Yeah, so it was a really entertaining team.
Bless him.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was a really entertaining team, and didn't win nothing. No, but I think got to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup and whatever.
I don't know about guys. I'm slinging one to you guys now. I'm slinging one into you. All right.
Go on.
I miss Highbury.
Oh,
don't go there. Don't go there.
Don't go there. Listen, it's Graham. My family is mixed between Arsenal and Spurs. My mum's side were all Arsenal, and my dad's side were my mum's side were all Tottenham. My dad's side were all Arsenal, and I used to go to Arsenal 1 week, Spurs the next as a kid. But the one thing that made me go to Arsenal, 2 things, was the red and white shirts and Highbury. And it was Highbury. It was just, the floodlights were on the roofs. It was just different. It was just something spectacular about the place.
I think it's the most beautiful stadium in the world. I do, honestly.
And then they took it away from us, And
a night game at Highbury took a bit of
our family, I used to go meet my father and my uncle and a cousin used to come with us every week. I was the youngest of the lot. And we used to go out there and we used to stand outside where the players come out, the marble halls. And the players used to mix with everyone. They used to come out and one of the players might say to someone, "Oh, so-and-so's not playing today." Right? They go, "Oh, really? And all that. It was fantastic. The whole build-up was so good. And you felt part of it at Highbury for some reason, The whole thing was absolutely brilliant. And I do miss it. I went there. I used to go there from, I suppose, 63. I started going all this, right? and I loved it. I mean, even if we're playing poorly, we weren't doing very well, and whatever was going on, I was looking forward to going to every single game, which I can't say at the moment.
Me too.
The other great thing, the last game of the season, they used to let you on the pitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could walk on the pitch and like, it was just like, it's a wonderful place. You know, obviously to play football on there would have been unbelievable, but even just to watch it and be a part of it, unbelievable.
And also,
can you ask?
What was good? The half-time things with the letters. Everyone used to, with Spurs were playing, get their score first.
Yeah.
So I used to put the old letters in that was so funny. You think, oh no, that Spurs scored a goal and things like that. It was absolutely brilliant. And the band going up and down the pitch before the game.
Well, the old band, do you remember the band used to come round and he always used to throw the old baton up in the North Bank, and I was always desperate for him. You know what I mean?
It was Morgan, wasn't it? Lee? Was his name Morgan or something?
Something like that. Yeah. Morgan.
Oh,
So it's just it was just class. It was just something class about.
He was the guy
who
sang.
That's it.
Oh,
do you remember the guy that walked around selling monkey nuts?
The old peanuts, sailors,
outside as well.
Fantastic.
Chestnuts if you get outside, and also peanuts.
Listen, guy, can you ask Graham about the World Cup in 1982?
Just to change it from the Arsenal game to the World Cup in '82, because obviously you was big part of that '82 World Cup team, and not only was it a good World Cup for us, it was we had the best song ever, the song that was going there, and the iconic kits, and we had a good World Cup. You know, bit unlucky like to get knocked out. How was your feelings of the World Cup? I remember that's my first real World Cup as a kid, and you and Kenny being a part of it was massive.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I'm the same. I don't know how old you guys are. I'm the same as any kid growing up in the era. You know, I remember the first time I saw Johan Cruyff do the Cruyff turn. That blew me mind. So these iconic moments in World Cups. So to be part of it was beyond my wildest dreams. And it's funny how it happened, because I was in and out of the England team, and the last game, one of the last games, the last game at Wembley before the World Cup, Holland, and we trained in the morning, and then we had lunch. Then we went back to our rooms for a sleep, and I was sharing with Kenny Sansom, and I said, Ken, I don't think I'm going to be going to the World Cup. You know, he's playing Alan Devonshire tonight, so it looks like I'm going to miss out. And he went, you never know, Rico. You never know, Sam. You never know. So anyway, we go to the Wembley, and they're playing Holland, and Alan Devonshire. I mean, I love Dev. What a footballer he was, West Ham, and he had an absolute nightmare. Dev. And just before half-time, Ron Green, at half-time, look, you're going on for Dev. I went, all right, okay. So I went on the pitch and warmed up and blah, blah, blah. I went back to the changing room, put my shin pads on, and all lads are coming over saying, good luck, Rico, look, son, good luck. And Alan Devonshire actually said to me, good luck. And I think that speaks volumes for what kind of bloke he was. He said, good luck, mate, knowing that if I played well. Anyway, I did play quite well, and we ended up winning 2-0, and I had a hand in one of the goals. And as the whistle went, as we were walking off towards the tunnel, Ron Greenwood put his arm around me, and he said, do you know what you just done, son? I said, no, boss. He said, you've just put your ticket to Spain. So I knew before anybody else that I was playing. So I'd gone from a 22-man squad. I've gone from number 27 straight into 22. So I was so excited. And so then I went over there, not expecting to play. Kins, Robson, Brooking, Cobble, they were the four really. We got out there, and Trevor Brooking, bless him, was injured, so I had to play, and I played every, and I absolutely loved it. And the biggest memory for me in that is actually the first game in Bilbao. I don't know how many were there that day. There was thousands of English fans. Oh my God, it was unbelievable. I think that was the first World Cup we've been in since 1970, was it, or something?
We were there in 70.
I think it was the first cup since 1970. So,
mad days.
So there was thousands there, and we played France, and they had, Platini, Dress, DSC, Roche. They had so many superstar players, and we hammered them. And we hammered them. Sticks in my well up for it, because when I left Arsenal and went to play in France, I bumped into Michel Platini at a game, and he went, in his French, bonjour, Monsieur Rix, blah blah blah, and he went, bloody Rob. Rix Wilkins.
I thought he was French, not Pakistani.
Because we were at him all the time. Beat him 3-1. So to go there and play every game was honestly a experience for me. I learned so much.
Brilliant.
It's hard. It's hard because you're away, and it's
the best England kits of all time.
6-7 weeks, and it's a tough slap. But now when they're playing that national anthem and there's 15,000 fans in Bilbao singing,
quality. I've got to ask the question, Graham. When it come to an end at Arsenal with George Graham, because what was it like when George Graham come in? Because obviously he wanted to get rid of the old guard, didn't he? He wanted the young guys coming in. Did you find that tough to take, or was there an acceptance that the time was ready to leave Arsenal?
You know something? Well, really, when I was about 25, this is always a big regret of mine to a certain extent. When I was about 25, 26, I had a really bad Achilles tendon injury. And although I was in pain, they couldn't find anything. And in all seriousness, I played for 18 months in the first team without ever training. I'd play on a Saturday, rest Sunday, Monday, maybe play Tuesday. It's just on the back, never trained. I got a bus to go into a dressing room for games limping. I was limping. I just wasn't. And 18 months. And really, I didn't play great. It affected me form. There's no doubt about that. And I drifted away from the England team, which wanted me. George came. His first year, I was in his team. And I was playing really well. I was enjoying it. We were hard, disciplined, good team. I thought, here we go. And I got injured after about 12 games. Achilles tendon operation. Missed the season. With me, the following season, I was in his team again. Played about 15 games, did my other Achilles tendon, another operation, missed the rest of the season. So he said to me, Graham, I love you. And if you were fit, you'd be team. He said, but in the last 2 years, you played 30 games. And we're paying you a few quid. And I can't afford to keep you. Go on a transfer. And it absolutely devastated me. But a bit like when Terry and Don told me I wasn't playing in the 78 Cup final, it devastated me. But you brush yourself off and go, okay, what's next? I've got to show people.
How come you went to France?
I was lucky enough to find this club in France, and I went over there and had to be honest with you, probably the best 3 years of life over there. The way of life, the way people treated me. Honestly, the football I played well. I loved it. And even now, I go back there 30 odd years later. Oh my God, it's great. For a Yorkshireman not to have to buy a drink, that is unbelievable.
I seem to remember that there was offers in the first division. Like I think it was
no problem with George, and I'm glad they had the success. I was actually there at Anfield in '89. Although I'd left the club, I flew back from France.
Oh wow!
With the president of the club, the director sportif of the club, the coach of the club, and me and Brian Steen, who was playing out there with me. And me and Brian Steen sat behind the goal where Mickey Thomas scored.
Amazing.
Wow, that's
amazing.
unreal.
And
amazing.
It was about 3 minutes left, and I was sat near Niall Quinn. I was sat with Niall Quinn, who was not involved. And he said to me, he went, "Go, if you want to dress them, we better go now, because the lads, it ain't going to happen from. I can tell it's not going to happen." So we started walking, we jumped over the wall and started walking round. And actually, at the corner flag, when Mickey ran through and knocked it in the net. And me and Quinny were jumping up and down. Yeah. Like that. They were still all my boys, you know what I mean? Rocky and Mickey Thomas and all that lot. They were still my lads. I was jumping up and down. Anyway, I get to the tunnel, and the final whistle goes, and there's this lad, a grown man in his late 30s, with a white scarf around his neck. He's crying, and I went, "Don't keep crying, mate. You know you've won it enough times, you guys." And he went, "I'm not Liverpool." I went, "Oh."
God, it's so annoying. This is. I can't say stuff. But
even if I wasn't there,
I'm going to send a private message.
I was there
Have a look.
in spirit that day. Definitely.
Graham, how many players, not just Arsenal, but we were talking about Arsenal, of today would go back to their club 15 years later to watch them play a very important game?
Yeah.
I don't think we'd have it. Honestly, I don't think it'd happen. And that's the difference. Today's footballers are so different. I mean, you know, over the years, I'm lucky enough to have met a few, and they're just down-to-earth guys, you know what I mean? But the ones, I wouldn't be in the same company with the ones now. Different circles, if you like. Even if I did bump into them in somewhere, I'd feel a little bit, no, that don't feel right, you know? But years ago, if you happen to bump into one, it was like fantastic.
We would
absolutely fantastic.
We were just ordinary lads. We were just ordinary lads. You know, we were getting well paid. We didn't get well paid. We did. But we weren't doing it for that reason. We were doing it because, A, we wanted to play in front of thousands of people. That was a big draw. Show what we could do. Wanted to have glory with your team, playing cup finals, win leagues, whatever. Play for your country. It wasn't about what car you drove or how many Twitter followers you got. It wasn't like that. I lived in Southgate, Winchmore Hill, nearly all my career. And I knew everybody. There was Tottenham fans I used to stop and chat to, because you were just part of the furniture and everybody was in it together. And now it's a totally different world. And if I was a football fan, a real follower, I'd find it hard today, because I'd find it hard to relate to the players.
Yeah, 100%.
I get upset. I've said this before. I'm going to repeat myself, not for the last time. That when you see players come off a coach with their sunglasses on, their headphones in, head down, and all the like 10-year-olds just want a little wave from them, and they just no interest. They just walk straight through and show the kids no respect at all. It's really disappointing, I find. I think it's horrible that. Can't stand it. But one question I want to ask you, though, is you've joined, what did you say, 13 or 14 you joined the Arsenal, you said, right? When you, at what age did you realise, and we're all biased, that Arsenal was a special club? Not just the club you're playing for, but a special club compared to the other clubs around.
So, I'm from a little village just outside Lancaster, Little Pidge, right? And in those days, there wasn't mobile phones, you know, talking late 60s, early 70s, there was nothing. And at the age of 12, I got asked to go to Sheffield United, who were in the top division at the time. People like Len Badger and Alan Woodward playing for them and Mickey Spate. And that was down the road from me. And I went there and I stayed a week. And I stayed in digs with Mrs. Cooper, my first ever landlady. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Came back home, loved it. The following half term, got in touch again. Graham, we'd like you down. So I went down again, loved it. I'd done this for about 6 months. And then the scout came. He came round one Sunday afternoon after our game. And he said to me, Dad, Mr. Rix, we'd really like Graham to sign associate schoolboy forms for Sheffield United. And I'm like, you know, sat on the settee like that, little 11, 12-year-old kid. And my dad went, no, he's not signing. And I looked at my dad as if to say, Dad, you lost your fucking marbles or something. And he went, and afterwards I went, Dad, you know I want to be a footballer. Why don't I sign for him? He said, you gain nothing for it. He said, oh, because he ties you to the club. He said, you never know what's around the corner, Graham. A month later, there was a knock on the door on a Sunday tea time, and it was a scout from Arsenal, a bloke called Bill James. Hello, Mr. Rix. Yeah, we'd like your son Graham to come down at half term and oh my God. So I went to Arsenal. I went to Leeds United, spent some time up there. They were my team. I went to Donny Rovers, my local team. I went to Sheffield United. I could have gone to Spurs. I could have gone to Hearts. I could have gone to Wolves. Every club was chasing me. Once I've been to Arsenal for the first time, that was it. Everything was different league. Coaches, the training, the facilities, the atmosphere, the opportunity, the camaraderie, everything about it. Everything was special, so spot on. I'd already made my mind up. This is, if they want me, this is where I want to go. This is where I'm coming.
Oh,
and
great to
obviously
hear
they
that.
were trying hard to persuade me to sign, not with money. Yeah, and they actually brought my mum and dad down for a weekend, and obviously we got the treatment, you know, sit upstairs, have dinner in the restaurant, then watch the match, you know, treated like kings. And as we got up to the restaurant for the first time, one of the commissionaires, my mum's coat off, and said, "I'll take that for you, Mrs. Rix." And she turned round, she couldn't believe it, my mum.
He knew her name.
London was nicking her coat.
To know who she was and take it off her. And after that weekend, she said to me, "This is where you've got to come, Graham. You've got to come here." I said, "Yeah, I know, Mum." No brainer. Absolute no brainer.
What a great story.
Fantastic.
What did they do with the whippet and the flat cap, Graham?
Only it worked out for me. I'm kidding.
That's a great story, that is.
There's a couple of questions in the private chat, guys, if you can have a look at those and ask those. Because
No,
got a couple.
yeah,
He's only got 5 more
that's
minutes.
how it was.
So
I was a mad Leeds fan. I was a mad Leeds fan when I was a kid.
Yeah, so
hate
I'm
Arsenal.
surprised he didn't
Hate.
never. Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't
And then when I came down,
sign for Leeds. In just shows, doesn't it, how big Arsenal is in. Big draw it was.
oh yeah,
but it wasn't the same.
definitely.
See, they weren't. I mean, obviously they'd won the double in '71. I joined in '74, but it wasn't that. It was how helpful and nice everybody was. You know, from the physios to the coaches to Ernie Collett taking you to your digs, to the landlady being out nice ship, just everything about it. I'll give you a little insight into the difference. When I went to Sheffield United, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Good people, really good club. And my first landlady, Mrs. Cooper, she used to work at Sheffield United in the direction. And years later, I went in there as a first team player of Arsenal to find her. And she remembered me, Mrs. Cooper. Can you believe that? She said, I followed your career.
Yeah.
Delighted for you.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
bloody hell.
Yeah.
Graham, who were your heroes at Leeds then? Going when you were growing up, was it like Bremner and people like that?
Yeah, all those people.
They were a very good team
Eddie
then.
Gray. When
Phenomenal team. Didn't like them, but they were a very good team.
Dirty Leeds. That's where it all came from, isn't it?
Oh, they're players. I went to the PFA dinner and I sat with all the Arsenal boys on the table. Sat next to Liam, you know, Dickie Bowen and all that business. Thought it was the dogs. And the Leeds lads walked in. They all walked in past our table to get to their table. And they all went, all right. You know, there was that animosity between them, like, obviously still. And Eddie Gray said, all right, Graham. I had to phone Dad that night when I got in and said, Eddie Gray spoke to me. He knew my name and everything. I couldn't believe it. He was my hero.
Cool. He never had a bad left foot either,
Nice
did he,
heroes.
Eddie Gray? Wow, what a left foot he had as well.
Dirty Leeds United, but what a good side, though. What a good side.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I went to the League Cup against Leeds. And was it 68, I think it was, Graham? Leeds played Arsenal. First final I've ever been to at Wembley. And Leeds, I said you, not you. Leeds beat us 1-0. Cooper scored when they did the goalkeeper. Charlton did the goalkeeper. 68, yeah. And
Melvin.
What's that?
I say, unfortunately, Graham's got to shoot off at 9, which is a couple of minutes' time.
Anyway, I come out of that ground. Yeah, well, no, I'm talking about the Leeds game. It must have been the year before. I think we played 2 years running. And I come out of that ground, I was in tears because I saw the way they scored the goal, Leeds, and they wasted time like I've never, ever seen before. They'd walked 80 yards to take a throw on, they'd go on the deck, and it I just felt so horrible. We always get beat Arsenal, we get beat like everyone else, but that one was a horrible, horrible one to take, the way they did it, Leeds. But they were a very good team.
Lee, do you mind?
And now, now everybody
wrapping up in a second.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. Okay, listen, Graham, we've got to wrap it up there because I know you. Say that again.
Yeah, next
time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Next time we've got to sort the sound out.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, I know you've got to go. You've got to shoot off, so we'll wrap it up there now. Graham, it's been wonderful listening to those memories and all that, some great stories and all that. So, on behalf of Andrew, because he can't say, he's saying thank you very much.
So annoying.
So it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I'm sure everybody in the chat has loved it as well. So
we'll have to rearrange it, another one.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure,
Graham, again, from here. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Some fantastic stories and good, fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers, Graham.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone watching and listening. And
You're
please
welcome,
give us a
guys.
like.
You're welcome. Stay safe.
And subscribe. And that was it's so frustrating. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Like, I can't say nothing.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Oh, listen,
I don't
he
know.
was fantastic. I'll tell you what, it's some great stories here.
Oh,
Well,
And,
phenomenal.
what a gentleman! What a gentleman!
I think we can arrange to get him back on.
Yeah.
Down to earth guy.
I mean, we literally
Purely down
didn't
to
touch
earth.
the.
Melvin,
We didn't
you know-
even touch the sides, really, did we? I mean, there's so many more stories we could
Well,
talk to
he
him
wanted to
about.
come back on, which is great. But like, what I like, all of those players back in that day, there's a sort of the ones that were brought up. They're all like that. They're all can talk to you. All got time to talk to you.
Definitely.
There's just something about it's brought up in them to be like that, you know. And it was fantastic listening to a few of these stories there, and you know, the disappointment of that FA Cup final in '78, because a lot of people have asked me about that question, because he had played all those games and then to be left out. Unbelievable decision. But
Yeah, I know.
He come back the following year, and well, I thought he was brilliant in the cup final. We didn't really say about the cross, did we? Like, it was
I never mentioned
Well,
that.
that's it. That's it. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, there's so many things we could talk to him about.
Yeah.
You know, and I was so frustrating that was. But never mind. At least you
Terrific
guys
guest.
got to talk to him.
Well, we got to talk to him,
Brilliant
and you
guest.
set it up, Andrew, and didn't. You know what I mean? Unbelievable, like, you know. So, but
Yeah.
oh, it's wonderful. Like, just going back in time, and it's great that a player like him, the fond memories of Highbury still. You know, like it's such a big thing, Highbury. You know, you talk to any of the old players that played there, they all say the same. You know, I think in hindsight now, we should never have never left there.
Mate, honestly, I totally agree with you. And, I think it was David O'Leary that once said, no, not David O'Leary. Was it? Or it might have been Bob Wilson, actually. I'm not sure. Don't quote me. But it's one of those sort of guys of that generation said, whenever you leave, any player that leaves Arsenal, ever, you know, and you go to another club, it always feels like a step down in quality. And those words always stuck with me. And I think, and no matter what players you talk to, they all say the same. You know, that it's just not the same when you join another club.
Yeah, definitely something special about it, like, you know. So I'll tell you what, someone just put in the chat, never really spoke about the '79 Cup final. We didn't really, did we?
No, that's what I mean.
You know what I mean? It went so quick, didn't it? Yeah.
The time's just flown. I know, that's what I mean. I'm going to have to contact him and obviously thank him very much, but get him on again, because there's so many more things we could talk about. And the other thing I wanted to talk to him about was the terribly sad news, which we can end on today, of Maradona passing away at the age of 60. And I mean, what a player. I mean, everyone knows the stories about you know, what went on in his private life and all the stuff he got up to. But I mean, as a player, and you know, what a player. He's got to be one of the best players I've ever seen, obviously. And there's loads of comparisons nowadays with Messi and so on and so forth. But there was no one else like him, was there, when we were sort of, you know, younger? And you know, we'd never seen that like before, have we, guys? Never seen that like before.
I work with the 3 Argentinian girls who know about football, and they say to me that that Messi is not in the same league as Maradona. Over there, he was a god. Messi, fantastic. They love Messi, but it's on a different level. Maradona is something. And they reckon that Argentina is going to have 3 days of national
mourning or something, isn't it?
Mourning something. You know, I mean, that is just that alone. I mean, the respect. And what he did in his private life, at the end of the day, people have done a lot worse in their private life, you know what I mean? But the joy he gave to so many people was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but without a shadow of a doubt, and the best player I've ever seen.
Yeah,
without a shadow of a doubt. I don't no comparison. You can talk Messi, Ronaldo, great players, not in the same league as him, as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? To play on those pitches, to be kicked like he was kicked, and he got up. He was a sensational player, absolutely sensational. And Arsenal really signed him. You know what I mean?
Did they? Is that right?
Yeah. Do you know? Have you listened to the I think it's what's it called? Stadio podcast.
I listen to so many.
It's only a short one. It's about 20-25 minutes. It was out 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'll put the link in the show description afterwards.
Right.
And it's when Maradona played for Spurs.
Yeah, Ozzy Ardele's testimonial.
Yeah, testimonial.
I went to that game.
It's the behind the scenes of that and the story behind it and everything. And I mean, one of the little bits is like he was literally doing keepy-uppies in the changing rooms. And I think he had bare feet and just a pair of shorts on, nothing else. And whilst he literally just turned up, and he was signing autographs without, signing autographs for people whilst he was doing these keepy-uppies in the changing room as well at the same time. And people just could not believe the skill and the quality that he had, and it's an amazing story. But yeah, I've never seen any player like him when I was a kid. No. And even when he did the handball, yeah, I still couldn't hate him. I was just
never hated him.
No way.
So many people did, and I couldn't understand it myself.
I never took that against him in any shape or form. I admired the goal that he got. The second goal he got, and I wanted him to go and win that World Cup because I didn't like the Germans, you know what I mean? And that was as simple as that, and he was just breathtaking. In that 86, he was breathtaking, absolutely breathtaking in that World Cup. He
played against England, I think, when he was 18 at Wembley, and I'd read a little bit about him, never seen him play, and the game was on TV, and in the first few minutes he nearly scored a goal like he did against England, that one when he dribbled. He went from in his own half, went past about 3 or 4 players, and instead of it went in, it went just past the post. I thought this is unbelievable.
I know. And I tell you what, I don't think anyone really could argue. And it's like Jonathan Porter. Thanks, Jonathan, for watching. And he's put a message on there, and I couldn't agree more. It was something I was just thinking. He said Maradona was the best. He lifted a poor Argentinian side to the World Cup and a small club like Napoli to the European and league success. And I don't think that could be overstated, can it? I don't think that could be overstated. And he genuinely is the closest thing to winning the World Cup on his own. He carried them on his back, didn't he?
Oh, he did do, definitely. Yeah. All that
they did have some good players, Argentina.
Give him the ball.
They did have some good players, but he just took them.
They could defend as well.
He just took them to a level which one he just give them the different, and that's what he was. Napoli would never got near the title until he came along. And
no way. You've obviously seen the show, haven't you?
Whenever Argentina come on the telly in the World Cup and all, you just watch them because of Maradona. You know what I mean? Maradona's playing, and you just sat there and watched him. And it was a worse team in 1990, but he carried that team to the final as well. And you just think, my God, he was just in awe of him. A wonderful, wonderful player. And a sad day for football. I tell you that now.
It is. Yeah. Just 60 years old. Nothing, is it? So I'm really sad about it. I think it hit me quite hard. I'm just like, it's a shame. I'm going to watch that Maradona, documentary again. I think.
That's quality. If you've not seen that, watch it.
Absolutely,
watch it. It's quality, So.
Oh, it just shows you what it. I mean, you can't. I know it's just. He had his his problems off the field and everything, but the life he must have lived, you can understand it, can't you? I mean, he must have. I mean, he literally was the most famous person in the world at once after the 86, and it must have been such stressful life to live.
Well, he couldn't go out anywhere, could he, or anything like that. So,
well, people loved him like they love a god. He was a god over there, wasn't he? We're just a footballer, wasn't he?
Well, the world over, and footballers weren't like they are nowadays.
Yeah, football,
don't forget, he was probably not one of the first, but I mean, obviously, you had players like Bobby Charlton and all that world famous. But I think he took it to another level in the 80s. And don't forget, football was sort of looked down upon in the 80s, wasn't it? It wasn't the same as it is now. It was because we had all the violence in the UK and everything, and all the tragedies and so on. But he sort of took superstardom within football to a new level at that point.
He did.
He won a title in a different country. Pelé won all the titles in his own country, didn't he? He never went to a European to test himself in Europe. Not saying he should have done, but he just didn't. But Maradona did it in Europe, and he did it for his country as well. You know,
phenomenal.
Kicked out of Barcelona in Spain. They just kicked him to smithereens. So just if you ever see some of the games,
didn't care, did he? I know.
Horrendous what they done to him, really. But
horrible,
but he got back up and done it again. And you know, even in the '82 World Cup, which Graham was playing in, he got sent off in the end. But they was kicking it. Gentili, do you remember him? Was kicking him all night.
God, yeah.
Oh my God, he was hard, wasn't he? How hard?
But you know, you're talking some tough defenders in those days. You know, so and they was allowed to kick you, by the way. Oh yeah.
There was tackling from behind was all right.
It was a good. Used to get a free hit. You know what I mean? So
first minute, here I am.
Yeah, there you are. Like take that, Diego. Like
I know. I mean, fair play to Napoli for being able to sign him. I mean, what a signing that was for them. I mean, they've never seen the likes ever since, have they? But he will be missed. Definitely. I think it's just such a young age to lose him, and it's a very sad day for football, like you said, Lee. It really is. Anyway, guys.
Oh,
sorry. Go on. No, go on. Go on. What were you going to say?
Sad guy that I've been on a couple of pods with, who passed away today, didn't he, Lee?
Oh, Heavy D, yeah, Colin.
Heavy D. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know him well. I've been on a couple of pods with him.
I didn't know that.
Very sad.
43, very sad. Like
43.
Whether you loved him or you didn't, you know, he was a larger than life character. I always got on really well with Colin, and he was never flash. You know, when he come out of Big Brother, he was always still the same person. You know, crazy. But and he had his boxing. When he was doing his boxing, he invited, funny enough, me and Claude to go and watch it at the O2, like, and he looked after us that day, you know, and very, very sad. Just like, you know, and I don't know what's happened. No one seems to know, but like 43, tragic, like, you know.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I've literally hardly. I've been at work all day, so I didn't know about that. So that is very, very sad news. Yeah, far too young. This year, do you know what? This year can't finish quick enough, can it? I mean, it's just. I'm not that. Changing the calendar is going to magically change everything. But this year has been the worst in.
Well, it's been the worst
memory.
I'll say that now, like, you know. So
not the only one, mate. My life was this time last year was as happy as could be, and it's just I just want to get rid of it, mate. It's just an awful night. But anyway, I don't want to end this episode on a really sad note. That's a bad.
Oh, I won't let you then, Andrew. I'm not going to let you do that. Let's put it this way: when things turn, and they will, we'll all appreciate the better times more. Won't we?
100%, and 100%, and
don't worry about it.
You know, exactly. And I put in the private chat a couple of messages that you guys could have read, but one of them was I wonder whether Graham
you said mention nothing about. Oh, I ain't saying it.
Grow his hair back. I wonder whether Graham could grow his hair back.
Well, I don't think he could after seeing him today. Yeah, but
he's got more hair than a lot of us.
All right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, he might. You know, as it happens, he's that hairstyle that he had it back in the 80s. It's sort of come back, isn't it? That's what you're sort of saying. With
that's what I want about. Because Guendouzi, Louise, and Willian, they fit right in nowadays.
They're doing the Rixie, aren't they? They're having the Rixie.
Yeah, you know, absolutely. Right, so. And he was probably 8 stone wet through, wasn't he, Graham Rix, when he was playing?
Yeah, very fit, very thin, wasn't he? Like, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, but he was tough though, like a lot of players.
Underrated at Arsenal. I know, like,
he was.
I didn't want to say that to him today, but like, sort of went under the radar. And when Liam Brady left, there was a lot put on him, and I tell you, a lot put on him. And Paul Davis. Paul Davis was the sort of one that came in, and he got a brunt of the stick because of it. You know, and what wonderful player, and what mental strength he had, because he come through that. The Arsenal boo boys to become well respected and loved. You know, so,
absolutely. I mean, it could have gone the other way for Tony Adams as well. I mean, when he first broke into the team, he was making so many mistakes. You know, when he was younger. And but they stuck with him. And that's what you need to do with the younger players. Just like get him the experience and just ride it through. But you don't get that time no more. You don't get that time there.
I remember, I don't know if you remember it, like Frank Stapleton got the bit of the old boo when he first come into the side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They wasn't quite, it took him a little while to turn it around. So, and that's what I think you've got to have a bit of mental strength to be an Arsenal man, you know what I mean? To come through it all. And I'm afraid this current team, like someone like Graham Rix, let's face it now, he'd walk into this Arsenal side on his absolutely walk into it, like, you know what I mean? So
I think Paul Davis as well would be one of the most sought after midfielders, in Europe. In Europe, I think he's another one that's really underrated. He was class act, and I mean Rocastle,
beautiful touch.
Rocastle. I mean, he would be probably. I mean, he'd be. You couldn't put a price on his head. A player like Rocastle as well.
Rocky. I don't know why, but the fans just took to him straight away. But I think maybe because of the name Rocky Roca. I don't know why. But
he had a lovely face.
Yeah, I think it's just he had the aura about him where when he first walked into the side, you liked him, didn't you? Do you know what I mean? Like, fans give him a chance. Mind you, he did do well. When he first came in, but he was never a boo boy. He straight away the fans took to him. But as you say, Paul Davis, Frank Stapleton, they had to. Graham Rix, to be fair, come straight in and the fans took to him, didn't they?
He scored in his first game.
He scored he did.
Willie Young did.
Leicester.
Never, you know what I mean? So
Leicester, I think, wasn't it? I think it was
Leicester
3-0.
3-0.
Yeah. But I remember there was a podcast I listened to earlier today, and I can't think which one it was, and I do apologise for those people that did it, but they said they told a Rocastle story as well about it's against Huddersfield in the Cup. In fact, actually, it was it might have been the Arse blog, might have been James from the Arse blog who said it, and within a couple of minutes, he was getting clattered by this left back from Huddersfield in the Cup, and he was taking all this grief, and then 2 minutes later, Rocastle just took this bloke out, literally just flattened him, and he looks over him as if like a gladiator sort of thing, like Rob Holding did a rip-off of against Sadio Mane last season, and he was looking over him like that as if to say, do what you like, mate, but I'm David Rocastle or something, and he just took no crap. That guy, he was as tough as an ox. Proper strong player, real character, but he also had the skill of a Brazilian player, didn't he?
He had everything, didn't he? As a footballer, he had everything. Everything you want to be a footballer, he had it, and that was it.
He did.
When he scored that brilliant goal when he beat Robson, he beat on a halfway line and chipped the keeper.
Amazing.
I went to United that day. Oh, it's fantastic.
I'd say that Jonathan's just put a great thing in the chat there because look, we lost Frank Stapleton and Graham Weaver alluded to it, and we replaced him with Lee Chapman, didn't we?
Yeah. Oh my God.
He sort of said there wasn't this. The player that signed weren't the same as Frank Stapleton. Like, you know what I mean? They bloody weren't. You know what I mean?
I had that written down to ask him as well, Graham. I said I was going to say
about. We should have asked him those questions, John Hawley. No wonder.
Ray Hankin. Do you remember him? Ray Hankin.
Oh
my God! And who's that geezer? Cosimodo? No, an Australian guy played centre forward. I think we brought him on a sub and took him off 10 minutes later.
Oh yeah. What was his name?
With a K. He come from Australia.
Koscielny. No,
I can't remember his name now, but we went for about 6 or 7 centre forwards after Stapleton. We just couldn't get it right.
I was going to ask him whether Lee Chapman was the worst centre forward Arsenal have ever had.
No,
mate. Honestly, I hated. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I don't hate any gooners.
Just never suited Arsenal. We just come into at that stage. To replace Frank Stapleton, it never worked, did it? Like,
he was in other clubs with him, Lee. He done all right with the other clubs, didn't he? He played for Leeds.
He went to
Sheffield Wednesday, scored against us.
Yeah,
got the winner.
Atrocious for us. I can't think of a worse one.
He done really well at Notts Forest under Brian Clough. who was a footballing sort of person. You know what I mean? Give him his due. It just didn't work for us. Yeah, it just didn't work for us.
Awful for us.
We had a little bit of a bad time around here, didn't we? Like, but
we did. It was. If you live through those Terry Neal years, you know, you'd never moan about anything that's going on at the moment. Honestly, you know, it's like a different world. Oh, I never ever thought when you're going through the mid-80s and that we had that really poor period before George Graham turned up, and it was horrible, you know. But if you live through those and you come out the other side, you can live through any period of Arsenal, I think.
What Graham said there, Arsenal were close to something back in the 80s.
We were,
They went down out. Same old bloody Arsenal, just don't.
Yeah, nothing changes.
Nothing changes, even back then. You know what I mean?
So,
one or two players away we was. One or two players away.
I remember Chris White playing up front for us as a striker.
Right, yeah.
Under
another lovely fella, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely, but not as a striker, mate. Honestly, you don't want him up front.
He left. You know, a little story about Chris White. He played actually 99 games for Arsenal, so he wasn't allowed in the 100 club, so he can never get a freebie at the Arsenal. He has to always buy his tickets and everything like that.
That's a shame.
Because he got 90. If he'd have played one more game, he would have been in the 100 club. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
he should have. He should have shaved his head as well, Chris White. That's the one thing I always remember about him. I don't know. But anyway,
really nice guy. Nice guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, I'm going to have to leave it there, guys, and I can't thank you enough.
Thank you very much.
Maybe you can both come back on when we have the next Graham Rix Show as well. Come back on together.
I look forward to that. That was great. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for inviting us on, Andrew. I really appreciate it. That was really
thanks.
To go
back. Really appreciate it.
Good to
no
go
problem
back
at all.
The good old days. Great.
Yeah, it was. Just to forget about the weekends match. Yeah. Forget about what's happening at the moment, and just talk about when Arsenal were great. You know, or
that's
not particularly great.
Not great.
That is when I fell in love with Arsenal. That's when, you know, as a kid growing up, that's what why I feel for Arsenal now is because of, you know, people like Graham Rix, and Brady.
Exactly.
And to have the opportunity to talk to him, I thank you very much for that.
Yeah, not a problem at all. And hopefully getting back on very soon. And once again, thanks ever so much for everyone watching live or listening back to this on the audio. Please give us a like before you go. Really, really appreciate that. That includes you too, guys. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, because I'd like to, you know, see if we can get a few more viewers further down the line, keep growing it. But thanks again. Thanks to you two, and we'll see you again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.